Hey everybody, today I'm here to review The Selection by Kiera. The story is about America's singer who lives in a society where everybody is in a class. Everybody's in different classes depending on, I do believe, the amount of children you are going to have. It's very hard to change the class that you were born into. You basically have to marry outside of your class. And with that, it's very typical for a man to marry below his class, but it's not as typical for a girl to marry below her class. America is very happy though where she is in life. She's very happy with her family life. She's very happy with what class she's in as a musician or artist. She loves to play music and to sing, and she usually has quite a number of jobs where she goes and sings for some of the higher ups in the class system for their parties and things like that. She also has a boyfriend, which she has kept on the DL from her family. She really doesn't want them to know that she is dating this guy yet because, first off, he is a couple of classes below her, which she doesn't actually care about at all. But she knows that her family isn't going to be too happy knowing that she's dating him, specifically when they have their hopes set on America participating in the selection. The selection is held by the royal family of Ilia, and every time the royal heir, the prince, comes of age, he has to hold the selection, where 35 girls are selected from around the country, and they come and stay at the house of the royal family and vie for the prince's affection. These 35 girls are dwindled down to the 11 elite, and from there they are dwindled down to the one who is going to marry the prince. Now, America really doesn't want to participate in the selection. She won't even go and put her application in to even be allowed to be selected, perhaps, until something happens with her life and her family's support. And from there, she actually does go and apply to participate in the selection. And wouldn't you know it, it is a dystopian. She gets selected. So is America going to be happy being part of the selection, or is she going to just hate it? So let's talk about a couple of the main things in this story. First off, we have this dystopian world that is set around romance. It's a dystopian completely different from what is really well done dystopian versions, such as The Hunger Games, Divergent, and The Maze Runner. Those are the three big titles right now. The Selection is also a big title, but I think the main reason why is because it's centered around a romance with a prince and a common girl. And you realize there's not actually a lot of dystopians out there where it's mainly about the romance. In this, though, I find that I really did like some of the characters, and I liked how well-rounded the world and the characters were. There's quite a variety of characters, and there's also a variety to the surroundings that are taking place or being shown in the writing. America is a character that I find has a lot of strengths, but she also has these weaknesses that she allows to come forth as well. She's not afraid to show them, and she actually doesn't have a problem coming straight out and saying exactly what is on her mind. I think that's why she's such an interesting character. She doesn't actually guard her tongue at times. She actually allows what she wants to say to come forth, and she can. The other character is Aspen, and Aspen is the commoner who is dating America. Now, I don't usually pick sides. I usually just try to keep an open mind with regards to all of the characters, but I have to be very vocal about this. I didn't like Aspen's character at all. I had a really hard time with him, specifically for one thing that he said, and from then on, I couldn't help it. I just really disliked him, and I just had a nasty flavor in my mouth every time I thought of his character. Now, Prince Maxon, on the other hand, I thought was very gentlemanly. You realize with how he's grown up that he is very mature for his age. He knows when he can step forward and really put his foot down on something that he feels very strongly about. But then you see other times when he actually steps back and he allows other things to happen. Now, Aspen's character, another negative for him, is I found his character to be very childish and very wilsome. Anyway, on with what I wanted to say. I found that the beginning of the story and the very end of the story was very slow paced. I actually almost put the book down between chapter 3 and 5. I was just really finding it very dragging and very slow moving, and I just had a hard time with it. So I'm really happy that I decided to continue to push through and finish off the story because I really enjoyed it. Now, one thing with this dystopian is the fact that even though it is set in the future, it feels very, very common day right now because there are airplanes, there are cars, there really isn't a lot of this, futuristic technology going on in the story. But it also has more of a historical feel with how they dress and how they act and at times how they actually speak. Overall, this was a very enjoyable read, and I do recommend it. Now, if you haven't read the selection, I am going to ask you to stop here because I'm going to talk about a couple of things personally that are spoilery of this writing and the story. So please do not continue if you haven't read it. You've been warned. One thing I found with regards to this story is I really didn't enjoy the whole love triangle. I felt like when Aspen's character was out of the picture at the start of the story, kind of should have been left out of the picture because there's enough of a love triangle in a way with America, Prince Maxon, and the other women that he's having to woo. Now, with regards to the overall story, with the beginning and the end lagging for me, I think it's mainly because Aspen's character was more of a dominant role in those parts, and I can't help it. If you guys are wondering what the quote is that Aspen says that just completely bothered me, is when Aspen says to America, "If you loved me, you would do this." Who says that? That is personally the worst thing you could ever say to me as a person or as a written character. Because you do not know that person's heart. You do not know how much they love you or if there's boundaries to their love with you. That's just completely wrong in so many different levels. That's just something personal that I really dislike with characters. Do not say, "If you loved me, you would do this for me," because you are then stating, I have boundaries in my loving you, and you have boundaries in loving me. I'm not even going to continue on talking about it because it just riles me up, and on top of that, I could probably make an entire video about it and just go, ah! Because literally, it makes me that mad. Now, one thing that I found was I was a little confused with regards to these rebel attacks. You're never fully told what is going on, but I found at times when the rebels would attack that the story would start to go down in its pacing. And then, bam! Rebel attack, and I'd be drawn right back into the story. And I think that was the point of the author, to make sure that you were still engaged in the story, and that's what the rebel attacks did to me. It drew me right back in because it was exciting and action-packed. But I felt like the story probably didn't need it. There could have been something else that happened in the story that could have put that finesse back into it. Now, one thing I saw as well, besides the rebel attacks, was that there was a bit of a similarity to the selection with regards to the Hunger Games. Now, when the 35 women are actually sitting over in the chairs during the royal family's news report on Friday, you end up seeing them sitting there, and it just really in my mind pictured the tributes, sitting there when they're going to go and meet Caesar Flickerman and do their interviews. And then, wouldn't you know it, we have a Caesar Flickerman in this novel called Gabriel, completely out there, exactly like Caesar Flickerman. Seriously, all I could see playing Gabriel in my head was Caesar Flickerman, Stanley Tucci with the blue hair. Hello, Capito! Seriously, that's all I could see in my mind is Stanley Tucci. If this ever turns into a movie or TV show, get Stanley Tucci to play Gabriel, please. The other thing is the fact that when he's sitting there and he's talking to them, you could really see him starting to like America's character a lot more, especially when he finds out that she yelled at the prince. And with that, you kind of see the same camaraderie between Caesar Flickerman with Peeta and Katniss. And that's what I saw here, because he's pretty much playing to both of them and he's liking both of their characters. And I really saw a huge focus in that part of the story with regards to the Hunger Games. Now, talking about that, I have to talk about a couple of characters. First off is May. May is such a smiling personality. Every time she appears, she just has this burst of energy and excitement and girlish childhood, and I just thought her character was brilliant and so enjoyable to listen to and read, and especially because you feel like May is more on the side of the prince than she is with her own sister, because when she writes back, I almost cried, but I didn't. You kind of get the feeling maybe she knew something, so I thought it was interesting, and I really liked May's character. The other one that I really didn't like is Celeste. Celeste is horrible. When she tears America's dress, I was thinking, do you know what? Before that scene, I was like, do you know what? Celeste's character can change. There is a redemption that could happen with her character. She ripped the dress and I said, that's it. The gloves are off. America, just punch her in the face right now. What does she do? She fixes her dress, goes back out there, she acts the perfect lady, and then she forgets to tell Maxon that she ripped her dress. Ugh. Maybe it's just the fact that I have been a tomboy since I was a little girl, and playing in the mud was a lot more enjoyable than the idea of playing with Barbies. But literally, can I just have a mud wrestling match with Celeste? And I'll just put a couple of punches in there, because seriously, that girl has problems. Serious problems. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's everything I wanted to talk about with this book. Overall, I really enjoyed the selection, and I have high hopes for reading the rest of this because I really liked it, and hopefully with the things I have heard with the Elite, I'm not going to be completely dissatisfied with that story. Anyway, guys, I will see you in my next video. If you want to talk about the selection in more detail in the comments down below, then please comment down there and we can talk, because I love talking to you. Until next time, go and pick up a random book and read. Bye, guys.